So welcome everyone to today's event. My name is Justine Shanti Alexander. I'm the WCS Country Director for Mongolia, and I'll be just facilitating this session. And I think today's session is part of a series of different sessions offered by the Snow Leopard Network. And we are very lucky today to have a webinar on community-led conservation, which is an approach used and applied across the snow leopard range in protecting snow leopards in high mountain ecosystems. We're really delighted to have Boloroo, in short, Boloroo Tsetsek Sanja, who comes from WCS Mongolia team. Boloroo has worked over 20 years with WCS, from the eastern steppes on Mongolian gazelles to the South Gobi on khulans, gazelles, and biodiversity in general. And she's going to share a little bit about some new work in the South Gobi, or it's not really new, it's building on a lot of work over the last 15 years in the South Gobi, where we're partnering with communities. And Boloroo will talk for around 30 minutes. And then we have time, hopefully, for some questions and answers. So I encourage you to ask your questions after this talk. Yeah, and please enjoy. So over to you, Boloroo.
Okay, thank you, Justine. So yeah, I will talk about the more details of what WCS Mongolia is contributing to conservation in Southern Gobi region in Mongolia. And my topic is local community conservation actions for vulnerable refuge areas in South Gobi. So I would a little bit describe about Mongolia, and Mongolia is landlocked country between China and Russia, and then Gobi-Steppe region occupying more than half of the country of Mongolia is the world's largest intact grassland ecosystem, and this ecosystem is not only provides crucial habitat for diverse species such as Mongolian gazelle, khulan, and the goitered gazelle, and those nomadic ungulates adapted to open spaces also offers pasture for herders to graze their livestock. For a decade, WCS Mongolia has focused on the South Gobi, where development, mining, and climate change threaten both the wildlife and local herders. So I will now talk about more our effort with communities in the blue this circled in the Mongolian map. In my talk, I will share strategies that are gradually catalyzing local conservation actions, focusing on three approaches that support communities in protecting this ecosystem. First, I will describe how herders across local communities are working to safeguard more than 4,000 kilometers square of important wildlife corridors and helping to create more growing conservation landscape. And then how herders communities are being engaged to support nomadic wildlife such as khulan and goitered gazelle and safety moving through fragmented habitats. And then finally, I will briefly provide how communities have started to engage in climate change, adaptation effort, and helping wildlife prepare for a changing environment. So moving on the first strategy approach, and which is securing wildlife corridors with herder communities. So only 2 years ago, no community structure in place to refuge area for wildlife, zero herder rangers, and limited knowledge of the natural resource base. 3 communities only in Gobi province. And we know there is a few communities there, but their focus is directly to tourism and not exactly to related the natural resource co-management communities. So today we have 5 active communities protecting two key corridor areas, all white polygons. If you're just looking 1 to 5 polygons, and that herder communities are managed area. And then those 1 to 5 herder communities protect over 4,000 kilometers square area, which is outside of the protected area. You can see there is Small Gobi SBA Part A and the green polygon, and then also Gobi Gurwen Sehun NP, that is National Park, and also another green polygon. And then that both are national network of the protected area. So nomadic species are free to both protected areas and between them, and our local communities located in this protected areas buffer zone. They are this in their own way. Our goal is to strengthen their governance and guide them in developing locally led conservation plans to successfully meet. How do we do this? Well, during our community meetings, we engaged several times and we conducted mini workshops with local communities to address natural resources, key wildlife, and ecosystem service mapping in community managed areas. Our work is identified key wildlife corridors, water source, and secret sites based on local herders' opinion. We did all 5 communities for ecosystem mapping in their planning in their managed area, and then finally all the maps were shared with the local authorities to support collaboration and the policy development for strong the conservation action. And if you look in this map is specifically more species, the home range of mapping, there was all this, the herder's opinion based on they are describing their mostly the species corridors, argali and ibex, snow leopard, and goitered gazelle. So let me share with you one story of the community. This community is located in Nomong district area. If you look in this map, there is a number 5th. This community's name is Gobi Herhun, and then they all are nomadic herders. After the mapping process, the community outlines the conservation activities and their goals in the management plan. So the management plans identify vulnerable areas within their managed areas that they need to pay specific attention to protect. We call those areas refuge areas. Additionally, they have planned other conservation actions, such as maintaining the natural spring and hay fodder to wildlife during the harsh winter months. And then these communities officially recognized for all the approvals received. So the community is now very powerful in this area that has a few steps, such as local land officers officially registers with their land agency system, and the ministry provides the certified to that community, and district citizen representatives agreed on their conservation action with a management plan, and district governor gets approval for management plan. Also, community, later on, this community will sharing management plan to AMAG, Environmental Protection Authority. There is several steps. And then access funding to implement their management plan, our support for those few steps and developing management plans with the local communities. And this community has finally their management plan for next 3 years. So 2025 through 2028. And by all their ideas to keep wildlife refuge areas and conserve certain types of natural resources in community managed area. So this man is Dale who is community leader and also herder. And he likes to wildlife conservation and field research work. And he's easily learning to set up camera and paperwork and leading herders and communicating with others. And he joined us for snow leopard research work. Then their community with this funding, they then protect the refuge. So it's about 800 kilometer square area. For example, they bought 2 winter camps and removed 2,000 livestock from this area, but no herders were relocated. Instead, they acquired 2 temporary winter camps from the local government's land office through their mutual fund. Each community had a mutual fund. So proactively designated part of their pasture area specifically for a wildlife refuge. And finally, this community sharing many nice images. You can see there is a very diversity of species, and community leader and herd rangers always sending us and sharing these images with us. And herders collectively decided to leave this area for wildlife, protecting it from grazing area. And they have a monitoring and patrols in this community managed area. After they have successfully applied based on approved management plan for the Natural Resource Fund and have received successfully 18,000 US dollar because they have a plan. And Tala is community leader and WCS coordinator, who is Narangerl. They are discussing about the community action plan, and while WCS staff, Astambagan and herder ranger, they are talking about the patrol plans for monthly and also on-site mentoring and sharing ideas in community managed areas, specifically refuge for wildlife. Now they are planning to wildlife abundance survey in the refuge area and maintaining 2 natural springs in this year. So I mentioned earlier community ranger and also some have the patrol, yeah? And then all communities have a herder ranger and some are our Hurkinarang cooperative herder rangers. And then now we are training 20 herder rangers. During the herding period, they are patrolling in community managed area because it's a volunteer work and then by herder. And then 2 to 3 patrols per month on average, covering approximately 4,200 kilometers for each month. They are actively monitoring over 4,000 kilometer square area, and the community rangers documented over 1,000 wildlife sites images. So we are analyzing them at the moment, and that data help us more significantly changes and human activities and off-roads and any illegal action activities. And then that is help to community and local decision makers. So this map is, okay, I'm just reminding you again, these green polygons are protected areas and the gray polygon are buffer zones. So the Gobi provincial government's environmental protection authority supports the refuge areas between these 2 protected areas. And that refuge covers over 24,000 kilometers square for pasture protection between these 2 protected areas. All 5 communities are located in this buffer zone area, and it's a great support from local decision makers. And then that support is aligned with our goal of protecting key wildlife refuge areas. And also we are collaborating with the local government authorities to strengthen institutionalization of
Boloroo,
monitoring.
sorry, we've lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
Okay. And then I will repeat again. So we are collaborating with local government authorities to strengthen the institutionalization of monitoring Southern Gobi. They are using a smart approach, and which is spatial monitoring and reporting tool. And the ministry approved this approaches in entire of the Mongolia to do patrol monitoring. And data also supports local decision makers to improve management effectiveness across this landscape. And then if you observe in this, all this, the blue lines are this officials tracking and outside of the protected area. And briefly, government officials are covering over the 30,000 kilometers in just the last 6 months. And also it's same, and inside the protected area, it's a small Gobi, strictly protected area. And collaborating with the protected area administration office and to strengthen also same to institutionalization of monitoring inside the PA. And totally now the 19 rangers are patrolling around the 50,000 kilometers in 10 months and showing very strong field presence. So PA rangers are trained in smart approach and which has helped to changes and monitoring inside the protected area too. So therefore, if you look in this figure, and it shows different networks for the protection and the restoration of the critical refuge habitats. So outside of the protected areas, strengthen government collaboration beyond the protected areas. It will include buffer zone too. And also buffer zone engages communities to reduce threats and conserve biodiversity. And also protected areas are more improves management through the training, outreach, and also monitoring. So now I will give another example where communities are catalyzing local action, specifically for nomadic ungulates. So neighboring province, we name it Gobi. And if you're looking at small, the green map, it's just highlighted the white polygon, which is 6 and 7. It's also new herder communities. And 2 years ago, we had no communities structures working to improve wildlife mobility. However, WCS has working in the region, working with the government and private sectors for over the 10 years. So we are monitoring to impacts of the linear infrastructure on wildlife. We know local communities are needed to be our key partners. Then we assessed the local community impacts through household survey along the railroad, and herders faced movements restrictions when accessing water and pasture. The railroad divided pasture land for herder communities and limiting grazing access in this area. So livestock were sometimes lost in the railway accidents. Because herders are living along the railroads or close to railroad buffer area, they lived long years ago. Only some linear infrastructure is new and rapidly developed in that area. Herders are aware of the space needed for animals and coexisting with both nomadic herders and wildlife. Then we have consulted with ministry level to do awareness action and officially agreed the Khulan National Day on 25th of October for each year. And because nomadic ungulate is very important and it is core habitat in this Southern Gobi province. And we invited Mr. Sarantoya. She's there, and who is the herder and took him from Khulan place. And we organized that event in Ulaanbaatar capital in last year. And then she learned a lot of about the conservation, to focus on species and the khulan protection. And now she's a khulan champion. Then when she back home, and she engages with neighbors to establish new community, and then she is Underhook herder community leader now, and to protect ungulates through wildlife-friendly actions. Another community is protecting natural springs in the same place. Besides, we are engaging with these two communities where we set up a simple ecological research station in this Golden Core area. We have step-by-step built the communications with the local herders in that region, and we started some of the research surveys around our camp, and we deployed 20 acoustic sensors, 5 camera traps, and initiated habitat monitoring in elm forest patches with these partners. And also our team is recorded 41 bird species from this near of the camp area, and including breeding colony for Amur falcon. So additionally, also we are supporting local women in Gobi-Steppe region, and this initiative works very well in Gobi. We trained 44 herder women in climate adaptation in the region, and now 25 women have been nominated as climate adaptation champions, and those champions received 3 different trainings, and they described issues and find the solutions, and then they address next steps to implement actions. So now we are engaging these champions in the Facebook group, which is peer learning network from each other, and we are providing mentoring and monthly. And then in this strategy, our focus is to protect over 20 natural springs for wildlife and the livestock in the short-term period, and the women will support. Their priority is water, space, drought, and drought, which is harsh, cold winter. And now one natural spring was protected for wildlife, and it is jointly effort from local authorities and protected area administration office, including communities. And 6 more approved for protection this year from both Mongolian Gobi and Mongolian Gobi provinces. Now we assessed 28 natural springs across those whole region, and establishing a baseline of ecological condition like pH, conductivity, and dissolved oxygen within the spring, natural spring. And well, we'll just keep doing our ongoing engagement in the core of this Khulan range area, and Khatambolak district is one of the important core area of Mongolian Gobi, and for Khulan specifically, we'll continue conservation work in that place. Over the past 2 years, we have made significant progress, and now I'm summarizing the key achievements here. Engaged over the 160 herders actively in conservation across the Gobi region, and working with totally 7 herder communities. The established community lead protection over the 4,000 kilometers square, with the 20 herder rangers are monitoring and supporting the conservation activity, actually safeguarded those areas, and secured government approval to designate and 24,000 kilometer square for pasture protection, resource zone, and we trained 44 herder women, and 25 is already recognized as the climate champions. And for the first time, one herder community successfully accessed public natural resource fee fund to support conservation work in their community managed area. So what is next? Our plan is now, we'll just keep working in key refuge areas to make spaces for wildlife, strengthen current community groups, and set up two new the herder community group in Boloroo area, and continue research and monitoring of the wider landscape activities, work with communities to protect wildlife movement corridors, and expand protection of the natural springs to secure water for both of the people and also wildlife, and supporting women climate champions to lead local actions and like water conservation, and bring sustainable finance to 3 more zones for long-term resilience, and pilot local response plans for extreme weather in vulnerable areas. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Boloroo, for the really concise and beautiful presentation. I think we already have a lot of questions in the chat. Okay, so we'll go and ask a few questions. So I see that the first question is from Claudio. Hello, Claudio, also I think in Mongolia. So Claudio says congratulations
in
for
Mongolia.
your crucial work. Oh, maybe Claudio, go ahead, ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, it was about, I did 2 questions actually. Go straight with both questions now. Okay. One was about which kind of monitoring there does do all the group, and with the frequency they collect data or the information. And the other was about, you talk about involvement of women on climate change adaptation measures. And then I ask if you have a short list of the measures, if you let us know what is that. Okay, just it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The herder communities are, I mentioned the monitoring, right? And the herder communities are monitoring in refuge area, specifically supporting to community leaders and herders. And then their data is more like focusing to habitat condition, pasture, how look like pasture and water increasing, decreasing, surface water, and also where exactly new water source and condition of this any habitat changes or improvements. And that data is very helpful to community, the management plan, and also extension of the next activities planning to and environmental of the conservation action plan. And then because the herder rangers are voluntarily doing during their herding the time when they're herding in field, and which means they are usually between 3 times per month patrolling. And then approximately just like 40 to 100 kilometers per month. And they are using smart tool, which is spatial monitoring and reporting tool. And then our team is providing several times training. And then after we provided on-site mentoring, and then the herders are tracking their data and sharing with us. And also even not track data, they're also sharing images, wildlife images in the surface, water source images, how pasture look like in springtime, in summertime. Now as Mongolia fall is coming, and then look like in different the colorful and changes data. That is very helpful to us. It keep understanding about the local and conservation also conditions. What was in second
The other
question?
was about the climate change adaptation.
Yeah,
Which kind of
exactly.
measures you trained the
Yeah.
women?
Yep. And then in this series, we are planning to one pilot activity because the community herders are very key people, and during the patrolling time, they are observing wildlife condition too, specifically in Mongolia when the harsh winter or drought coming, and herders telling that message rapidly to provincial environmental protection agency and local district, and then they just could take action. That's why we are very engaging of this herder community and the herder rangers.
Thank you and congratulations. That's very important, especially in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudio. So really great questions. I wanted to maybe just add also, Claudio, maybe we don't have a list because it's also the local women that decide locally what they're capable of, what they're interested on, and we just give kind of scientific technical guidance on whether, this is something interesting, and they really develop it themselves. And I think they have in terms of the women, they have monthly kind of goals that they set for themselves. But as Boloroo said, the rangers themselves are going to increase monitoring during the winter in case there's harsh winter, and also record possibly wildlife deaths and so on to provide more information, because we don't know how these harsh winters are impacting local wildlife.
I agree. If I can express my opinion, I agree, because also I have experience with local community in the Sutai, Miangugazan, that area. Actually, the best solution is always let them somehow drive, but let them decide, because it's probably the most feasible things only they can know. Right? So
exactly.
I agree. We are in the line.
Approach.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, but fantastic, Claudio. We should please, if you're in Mongolia, come visit us physically. And okay,
I
now
will for sure. When I have
Great.
1 hour in September, I will do. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Bye. Thank you.
September. And then we have a next question from Neil. Neil has asked, do we have clarity towards how we can align their needs with, sorry, Neil, can you maybe let us know your question if you're here?
Yes, hello.
Online?
Hello.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hello. Good morning from England. Yes, I'm going to ask the second part of the question, which is a very important question for me to understand. Now, to understand the puzzle, in relation to nature conservation, we need to balance local livelihood with the need for nature conservation. So my question is, how can the local and national governments work with NGOs and conservationists, especially to improve nature conservation and local livelihood? Because I think they both go hand in hand. And can you please tell me, Boloroo, what is working well in your area in Mongolia and what needs more support? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. How can local and national government support? Yeah, and we have example. WCS have MOU with National Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and we have also MOU in the local provincial governors and authorities, and then we are sharing our reports and sharing our key significant information by end of the year, and which means we are sharing ideas. And we stakeholder during that meeting, and the local decision makers find a plan and for next year what there are needs, and then always they are telling us, and then what now changes, what they need to herd their communities, tell us, and your survey results what look like, and then we are providing report and providing data and maps information, and then governments are preparing a next year plan, which is they name it the the policy development, regional policy development plan. And then especially that plan is more focused to conservation, especially to habitat improvement in environment. At the same time is because Gobi is rapidly changing, and then governments are also make a balancing, and they also more focused into linear infrastructure development, which is railroad, paved road, and also the local governments focusing and local citizen and herders' livelihood improvement, which is like tourism, how to improve the tourism attraction in this area, and how easily herders can sell something, specifically traditional, like camel, or somebody wants to visit and to see traditional lifestyle. And it is a policy recommendation already in this IMAG plan, like provincial plan, and then they are engaging every year of this big event, like community events they're organizing, and then sharing each community's information, their practice, and many times authorities providing their decisions, some of the decisions. It is sometimes, not very easily and ongoing and rapid. It takes time because governments, if they have an available fund for any of the public, and then community needs to show about their strongly management plan, strongly their voice, and then local authority approved their plans, which means implementing of conservation action and then also improving livelihoods.
Thank you for that.
Boloroo. Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much for the great question. So we're moving another really good question from Joshua. He's asking Boloroo, how are local communities motivated to carry out these actions? For example, the volunteer rangers or others. Is it ownership, incentives, or just intrinsic motivation? Can you share a little bit from your experiences?
Okay. In my observation, the communities are very inspiring for species coming, animals coming, because they believe their opinion is ungulates is coming, nomadic ungulates coming, and then pasture is growing and health. Their opinion is that, and carnivores coming, and then our livestock is not health, more health, and that is just a traditional culture for local people. And also herders it's very stewardship because they have own managing of a certain type of natural resource-based managed area, and they have a refuge area. They are like they're keeping this space to wildlife, and then wildlife coming, and they are happy because okay, our pasture is now growing more and health more, and carnivore wolf is coming, and our livestock is no disease, no sick. So that beliefs and it's very inspiration for a community. And then volunteer rangers are learning different tools, and we are closely engaging and motivating to volunteer rangers, and they are so happy. And then instead they are just sharing lots of nice images to us. And then also the volunteer rangers, this herder community rangers legally accepted for the herder community PIN and officially certified ID, and from this local authority, a provincial-based environmental protection agency, and if this community is located in buffer zone of protected area, and that protected area is providing that legal status of documents to herder rangers, and then they are more powerful. And everyone is listening their voice, and then herder rangers are telling changes how dynamically, and then they are sharing how the condition of this environmental. So their voice is very strong, and then community and herder rangers are really connecting in each other, sharing this information and sending to neighbor herders.
Thank you, Boloroo. It's a very great answer. And I see a thumbs up from Joshua. So over to the next question that relates to Claudio's question. Naranyan is asking, what type of climate adaptations were trained and how does it relate to snow leopard conservation? And what about snow leopard conflict? So I just wanted to specify in the Eastern Steppe, there was no real snow leopard habitat. It's more steppe grassland habitat. But Boloroo, maybe you can answer that question if there are other efforts related more to snow leopards.
Okay, first I wanna more focus on climate change adaptation. So we trained 3 different events to the herder women, and one is exactly like understanding the local situation, local knowledge, and plus leadership management. And second, training was more like focusing to climate change adaptation. Everyone is talking climate change in Mongolia, but what look like climate change? How is impacting to local herders and women and poor kids, and then we are teaching to them what look like climate change and how to survive if they drawing out in this harsh winter coming. And we are sharing knowledge with the local communities. Even also, we are learning from them. And third training was more like focusing to sustainable water management because water is very sensitive in Gobi region. Of course, it's dry, more drying and depending on the seasonal and temporary water. And also some natural spring is it's sometimes temporary. That's why the women are really focused into water access and water of this the management issue. That's why we are also engaging these women to preparing next small like the mini project because each woman's have a nice ideas to how to bring water specifically around the community managed area and then their herding grazing area. And then each woman have some ideas, and right now we already identified 28 of natural spring in this Gobi region, and then women's or the community rangers and community definitely to focus on and care out this water source. Right now, as we are just collecting all the baseline and then planning to automatic camera, how busy to using this surface water by livestock, human, and wildlife. So, and that's the kind of training we are teaching to women. And the second question is related snow leopard conservation. So, my truth is, I was working last 10 years in Gobi region, and then we just, I was sharing idea with herder communities and officials, decision makers about the carnivores, and carnivores included lynx, Eurasian lynx, and gray wolf and snow leopards. And this time, in last June, my last travel was in Southern Gobi. I learning a lot from herder communities, and they are sharing some stories. And then most of that is some like moof story, and they believe snow leopard is like the mountain lord. And then we sharing many different ideas, and then we piloting, implementing one activity, which is the carnivore, the wildlife, the coral group, and which is initiated by Snow Leopard Foundation in Mongolia, and then because they have very experienced for this activity work, and then we are collaborating with them. We also learning this specific initiative from them, and then we already provided 3 corrals to herder communities, but it's not specific snow leopard. Its priority one is wolf, and then we provided 3 chorus, and then we are also learning how they practically using and what they have a specific data, which season is important them, and kind of we're still learning this much work from them. And then snow leopard movement, and I'm also learning about some ideas from the local people, because firstly we believe snow leopard is only in Gobi mountain, and then Tostosumbum, but and then snow leopard is moving and coming to small Gobi strictly protected area, which means between these 2 protected areas, snow leopard is free moving to these protected areas, and within these areas, our communities are there, and communities areas, refuge area, which means snow leopard is safeguarded in these refuge areas. So if it is, yeah, Justin, you can aid.
No, that's great. I'm going to jump to the next question. Thank you,
Okay.
Boloroo. That's great. And I see some of the Snow Leopard Foundation team members are here too, which is fantastic. So they do a lot of work also on snow leopards in a similar area, which
Yep.
is great. So we're supporting a lot of the steppe areas and starting on the mountain areas, working together to reach even a larger area. So next question is from Tundup. And the question is, what are the major challenges faced by local communities? For example, livestock predation, is there crop damage or harm to human beings? Have these issues been addressed through conservation efforts?
Local communities challenges, yeah?
Yeah,
And
challenges. And if there's any conflict, like predation or crop damage or
yeah, challenges. So there is a few challenges, of course, and which is policy decision level. And because community, if they have ideas, and then community capacity is poor, which means they need support for better to write management plan, and management plan is approved process, and get approved, they need to receive public fund, and then they have money in community mutual fund, and they can do any conservation activities. Within this process, there is a poor knowledge about from the community. This is one of the challenging for step by step for this legal status. And then second one is, of course, this the climate different events, which is like the harsh winter, herders are losing their livestock because it's men in concerts. We understand. We also learning from them, and then third one is water source. That's why we are really focusing to the surface water, and then combining to women engagement initiative, and women's are bridge between the other herders and some and district and the provincial authorities. Their voice is strong, and then they can bridge between this water surface access and also natural resource fee access. And then next conflict one is in the Gobi province. I mentioned linear infrastructure, because Gobi is rapidly changing. Lots of development is happening in last 10 years, and which means lots of the mining, legal status mining companies there, illegal mining companies there, artisanal mining. So which is they already dig holes. It's, destroying their pasture, and herders are actually, they are restoring this area, and what they have money, they are using the community's mutual fund, and then which means is also very damaging to communities managed area. And then kind of there is lots of the challenges here, and then also this linear infrastructure I mentioned, railroads. This is dividing pasture area, the communities. For example, one communities, the herders winter camping west side and their summer camp in east side. They cannot cross to summer camp. Could not move to this between the camps. And then almost 100 kilometers driving and then coming to their camp. It's sad, and that's why we are really closely working with decision maker levels in this local authorities. They should make a right and correct plans in the future.
Great, thank you, Boloroo. That's a great answer. Many challenges as things are more and more unpredictable, right? But the better we can prepare people and build their resilience, the better we can deal with these unexpected changes. Maybe I can share some comment. I think Mongolia is very exciting and promising place to work with communities through, as Boloroo shared, it's really encouraging that community groups can get the rights to manage natural resources and then gets the support from local government. Local government even provide communities with funding, as Boloroo shared, through the natural resource fee opportunity. So there's, I think, institutionally, there's a lot of structures and legal frameworks to support. And it's about taking advantage of that to really have change and results on the ground, because a lot of these areas outside protected areas are going to maybe see change, as Boloroo just said, roads, railways, development, and a lot of wildlife in Mongolia need landscape level approaches. So all of, as Boloroo shared, really is really encouraging to see how can we work at a larger scale with protected areas, outside protected areas, and communities.
Yeah, please.
And wondering if any policy changes have happened recently to support.
Development has been included and considered by governments. Policy changes.
Yes, that maybe have supported communities or linear infrastructure development.
Yeah. So policy changes. So right now I'm just the one example because in local level they are herders are paying taxes, which is livestock taxes, and if any legal status company are using any soil or any kind of natural resource, they must be paid natural resource fee. That amount is all to come together in district public fund, and then it is sometimes no any community could not access for this amount. And then this money is the end of the year, Ministry of Finance taking all the money. So this money is need to back to community, needs to back that territories conservation actions. So policy changes here, we are WCS, we are really trying to make right away, and then those communities need to easily access for this fund. And then if natural resource fee come to this fund, and then communities need to take that money, and then they are need to conservation activities in this same area. Otherwise, this money is coming to big fund in government fund. So, and then right now is one nice initiative, which is Mongolian Ministry of Environment and Climate Change is really considering about this issue. And then they are MOU with Mongolian Imenelev. Could you please tell Imenelev Legacy
Mongolian Legacy
Foundation, and they have initiated and really to upgrading regulation of this natural resource fee to get receive communities. And then this one is right now is we just really focus in this, and then this is a good to policy changes in the future. And then not only focus to Gobi, whole entire of the Mongolian, all the herder communities can access this fund.
Great ending, Boloroo. Do you have any last few words before we discuss? I know there's some questions coming in, but we can maybe answer by email. Any last few words, Boloroo, to leave? I mean, it's not only people in this room. I think it's recorded, so maybe people will be watching in the future. So imagine you're talking to the whole world.
Okay, and if you have more questions, and please send me email, and I can answer your questions, specifically policy level and community practice, and the herders' knowledge and opinion things, and then yeah, it's a great sharing ideas and nice questions. Also, think later on, and in myself too, and then thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Boloroo, for taking the time to share. A huge thanks to the Snow Leopard Network, Rakib, also Baera, the executive director, and of course, all the members. I think it's always great to learn from the different work across the snow leopard range and the world. So I'm so happy to see these webinars continue and looking forward to the next one. Raki, do you know what is next? What's the next webinar planned?
We've got another webinar coming up from China on the 11th of September. So it's a whole different country, and we're very excited to have them after a long time. Looking forward to it. But thank you, Justine, and thank you, Boloroo, so much for doing this. I know I chased you all up a lot, but it was well worth the effort. Thank you.